Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video, and we are doing our first tier list today. This was inspired by the Level 857 podcast. We did a tier list on their channel. I was somewhat happy with the result, but after that video I decided to do my own. So as you can see, we are doing the Resident Evil games. I think I got all the main games, side games. If there's something I missed, it's probably something digital or something I haven't played, but for the most part I think I got all the games down. So I'll try to do them in order, all right, yeah, we'll just try to do it in order to see where that goes. But anyways, we got the rating system here: essential, great, good, okay, bad, and never played. Let's get started. First game, of course, Resident Evil 1. This is the game that pretty much got me back into video games at the time. I actually watched my nephew play it, and he showed me some stuff. But when I finally got the game, I played a scenario where you play as Chris, which is the hardest scenario. But it's preferred to play as Jill because their game is just much better. But Chris is okay too. Well, no, he's not. He only can carry 6 items, which is annoying. But Resident Evil 1 brought the survival horror back strong. I mean, one of the first games to do it was Alone in the Dark, but it never brought it to mainstream like Resident Evil 1 did. Like the FMV actors mixed with gameplay, like being terrified, safe rooms, snake, zombie, sharks, like dogs, the hunters, which were pretty scary. I wish they were able to implement the hunters like they originally wanted to. Originally, the hunters were going to be able to open more doors and stalk you through the game, but they only were able to do it like in the first cutscene with them. But Resident Evil 1 would have been tougher if the hunters could go through rooms. But anyways, it's definitely a great game. 2 playable characters. I love it. And I have to put it in the essential list because this is where it all started. This is what brought it mainstream. And it's kind of funny. Resident Evil 1, I believe, is still outsold Resident Evil 2, which is crazy. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put Resident Evil 1 up here in the top tier list. It's got to go there. It's got to go there. And that includes Resident Evil Director's Cut. Not greatest hits because that music in that game is horrible. But Resident Evil 1, it's just got to go there, man. It has to, But next game we're going to do here, Resident Evil 2. Now, Resident Evil 2, I remember how excited I was when this game was coming out. I remember I was playing a demo. I had a Game Shark at the time. I was trying to unlock extra rooms in the demo, which I did until the game froze. It was kind of cool, the assets in the demo that you weren't supposed to see. But when this game finally came out, I still remember that night. It was like I was just blown away. I played Leon A and then Claire B. I didn't really know too much about the zapping system at first, but you get to play as 4 scenarios. Where in the first Resident Evil game, it's more of you could kind of do things in different sequences, I would say. But in Resident Evil 2, it's more a linear path. But you have 4 scenarios to play as, so that makes up for it. But still, it blew me out of the water, everybody out of the water. It added a little bit of action in the Resident Evil games. This game had so many epic moments in there. I mean, I can't name them all, but the Tyrant being introduced in the B scenario, which I had no idea. Him punching through the wall, terrifying me. The camera system, when you go through the camera and the Tyrant's behind you and he shows up on the camera. I'll never forget stuff like that. And the alligator in the sewer scene. Jeez, man, this game has so much going for it. I can't talk about it all, but definitely this could be considered one of the best Resident Evil games of all time. So it's definitely got to go in the top list here. It's a must. It is a must. Resident Evil 2 has to go there. Alright, so next game in the series, which is actually my favorite game in the series, Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis originally was supposed to be a side game, but there was a thing with Sony and Capcom that they wanted a numbered title, so it eventually became Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And this one really amps up the action. The fear factor is still there, probably even stronger, I would say, than the earlier games. But you're dealing with a crazy enemy called the Nemesis, and he will stalk you throughout the game. He'll show up randomly, timed events, and it's crazy. If you think you outrun him, he'll just show up. It's just crazy. He'll jump in front of you. And then the decision system you make in this game was very important. One of the things in this game that really like came full circle for me was the ending. You know, you really get closure to the whole scenario with the Raccoon City and the Stars members. This game had epilogues. You know, this was the first introduction of the Mercenaries mode, Operation Mad Jackal, if anybody remembers that. So with saying that, I gotta put Resident Evil 3. It's a must. It's gotta go in the top tier list. I know a lot of people feel differently about Resident Evil 3, you know, because it's a shorter game. You don't get to play as two different characters. I mean, you do, but when you get to play as a second character, it's more of a side mission or whatever like that. In the first two games, you get to play as two different characters and go through their storylines. But I think the action in Resident Evil 3, the decision making, the different scenarios you could do in this one, really made up for that. So it's definitely got to go in top tier. It is a must play. And yeah, we'll go into the remakes here in a bit. But yeah, definitely Resident Evil 3's got to be in there. Now, the next game here, Resident Evil Survivor. Now, I didn't like this game at first, but it kind of grew on me. You know, a little bit more, Resident Evil for us, I would say. It recycled assets from the first three games. You know, we already know that, it's evident. But at the same time, I felt like it put together a decent story, even though the acting was pretty hilarious. You know, with Lot, Art Thompson. It's just like, dude, like some of the stuff was just corny. But the alternate paths you could take, I thought were pretty cool. And I kind of look at it more as like Resident Evil, the arcade game in a way. You know, you can finish this game pretty fast. But I think it's all right, And it's kind of weird that it's rarer than the other Resident Evil games, like Survivor. I don't know how much it's going for now, but it's like really an obscure game. But obviously, it didn't really sell well. But if the game was done in camera angles and all that good stuff, I think it maybe would have been received better. But they went with the first-person gun con view, and we didn't even get the gun con function with it. So they took that out because of something that happened at some schools during the time. But man, the game kind of grew on me, and I know it's not a great game, but I definitely think, man, it's controversial, but it's not bad. I'll say that it's not bad. So Resident Evil Survivor, you're gonna go in the okay tier. That's where you're gonna go. Now I'll let you guys know, like when we get to the end, we'll look at this again. We might switch some stuff around, but for the most part, I feel like I'm making the right decisions here. So yeah, let's move on to the next game here. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Very exciting when this came out. This was actually the first Resident Evil game I didn't beat the first night. Like, yeah, it was. I got stuck on some puzzles. Playing it again recently. I'll just go with my first time playing it. Like I had a great time. I didn't really see too much wrong with it at the time. There are some parts where you can actually get stuck, like losing some certain weapons. I wish that didn't happen in the game. But once you remember how to do certain things, it's a lot better to play through it, I would say. And the storyline in the game I thought was pretty well done. Alexia Ashford was a great villain. The scene where she wakes up was probably one of the best Resident Evil scenes out there. Like moments like that was a touching scene, and it was pretty badass. I gotta say that much. Had some great bosses in it. Nosferatu, probably one of my favorites. Alex Ashford, when he comes after you, that's pretty terrifying. The hunters with the camera access. There's like these cameras that rotate around. If they catch you. If they see you, the hunters know where you're at, and they come in that room and go after you. So that was pretty crazy. The only caveat with this game, though, I feel like the backtracking in Resident Evil Code Veronica was horrible, and that's why we definitely need a remake for it. There's a lot of good stuff about the game. I could say I don't want to talk too long about it because we got a lot of games to go through here, but it had a lot of good moments, and I actually prefer the original Code Veronica over the X version because a certain scene with Albert Wesker and Alexia. Like I felt the original Code Veronica scene where she slaps him around, he's getting beat up. That scene fits better, but in the X version, they try to give like Albert Wesker like this Matrix move where he punches her, and it's just annoying. Like this is her game. Like Alex, like Wesker, you showing up like it's like whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna put Code Veronica. Ooh man, I'm gonna put it in good. Yeah, we may change that later, but who knows? But I'm gonna put it in good because playing it again recently, just the backtracking just really hurts the game. I would say so. It's pretty annoying. But other than that, I think we got a solid experience here. Now, next game here, we have Resident Evil Gun Survivor Part 2, which is based off Code Veronica. This is another gun kind of game that came out in the arcades. It was probably really like fun in the arcades. On the home system, you have your AI partner with you, but it's just like this game just was really just tacked together just for like arcade experience. I wish they would have added voice acting or something like that. It is cool that Claire and Steve are together at like all times in the game, but it was a missed opportunity for some cool dialogue between them. It is fun in a way, but at the same time, it's not because of the timer and just how you have to you get lost in this game too. And then when the timer runs out, Nemesis comes after you. So they put Nemesis in this game, and he's unstoppable. So yeah, once Nemesis is after you, you really got to move and know where you're going. But if you don't, you're toast. But I can't put the game as okay because it needed a lot more polish. So it's definitely under Resident Evil Survivor. So we're gonna put that in the bad tier. I would like to put it in higher, but it just, yeah, man. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next game. So next game is Resident Evil Gaiden. This was the one where it was on the Game Boy Color. You play as Barry. You're trying to get to go rescue Leon on this cruise ship. Resident Evil on the go. It's at the time I didn't really care for it because I'm playing console systems. Like going back and playing stuff on the Game Boy, it's like what the heck, you know what I mean? At that time I had my portable PlayStation too. So this one I thought was okay. It's man, what a tough one, dude. I mean, I want to give all these games the right credit, man, but I'm gonna give Gaiden, since it was a good effort, and I did have fun with it once I learned the mechanic too, with how you take out zombies on that little cruiser going back and forth. I'll say it's okay. It's an okay game. It's not going to be that game where your friends come over and say, "Hey, let's play Resident Evil Gaiden on the big screen." Like, no, it's not. It'll never be that. But it'll be that game that you'll kind of subtly talk about, like, "Hey, remember Resident Evil Gaiden? Yeah, I'm still looking for a copy or something." But anyways, moving on to the next game, and finally, we have Resident Evil Remake. Yes, Resident Evil finally got remade, and the director's eye, how he wanted it to be made. And he got most of his ideas in the game. The only thing I would say he missed out on is the zapping system in the game. But he wanted to have that zap system kind of how it worked in the Resident Evil 2. But he got everything down and added some new areas and some new enemies that stalk you. Like Lisa Trevor was fantastic. This game kind of gave you the illusion that you could kind of save members of your team that were in the first game that died, but you think you're gonna save them, but yeah, something else happens. But outstanding looking game to this day. Just like this, I could consider this one of the best. This could be possibly the best Resident Evil game of all time. Still, even to this day, the graphics, everything with this game was just on point. So I'm gonna put it up there in the top tier, guys. It's gotta go there. Essential. You got to play Resident Evil Remake. It is outstanding. Alright, so next game here. Resident Evil 0. I remember my excitement for this game. I picked this up when I think I was in Fort Bragg at the time too. Yeah, I picked this up because I remember one of my friends worked at GameStop. He's like, "Man, you got to play this game." Very excited for this game. I remember it was supposed to come out for N64. That never happened, but we got it on the GameCube. I'll tell you guys this. The whole system of this game of controlling two characters sounds like a good idea, but the way you drop items and how you couldn't carry like a certain amount of items made the game really annoying to me. I hate to say this, but I've only played through this Resident Evil game twice. I played through all the games multiple times. Well, I think most of them I played multiple times. This one I only played through twice, and the best part of the game is when you're on the train. When you get to the mansion and all that stuff out there, or the fact wherever that area was where the train crashed at, that's where it got weird for me, and just not being prepared for certain enemies that are going to pop up, and not having certain items that because you have to drop them or whatever like that. It's just really annoying. It definitely could use a remake, but I got to put Resident Evil 0. I got to put it in the okay. Yeah, I just feel like they should have kept item boxes. It just would have worked out better. This was considered a black sheep of the series for a while. It probably still is, but I gotta say it's okay. It's another game that you're not gonna really be playing too much, unless you're just really good at it and you really like it. But the whole thing on the train was pretty badass, so I'll say that. Now, next game in the series, we have Resident Evil Dead Aim. Fourth game in the Survivor series. But Resident Evil Dead Aim, I didn't like this one at first either. This one was like, I don't know, switching from third person, and then when you go to shoot enemies or go to first person, that just kind of annoyed me. But what won me over with this game was actually the story. You know, the agent, the beautiful lady coming down, you know, like she was like, May Fawn, what was her name? I forgot her name, but she was hot. And the intro to this game is outstanding. The music they play in it, I love that part. But yeah, I love the whole like scenario between these two secret agents trying to find out what's going on. And it's a fun game. It is a fun game. This is the first game where I think you fight a female tyrant, or I don't want to say genders on here because you know where that'll go with people, but it is definitely a different type of tyrant that you fight in this game, which is crazy. So I'm gonna put Gun Survivor. I'm gonna put it in the good bracket. It's pretty. I think it's pretty good, especially for the GunCon game. So I think they did a good job with that one. Unfortunately, it was the last one, but you know. That's all right. That's all right. We got a couple of good games out of the GunCon ones. All right. So next game here is Resident Evil Outbreak. Yes, Outbreak. Oh my God. I was so excited for this game. I remember when I bought my PS2 hard drive. I was ready to go. I played online with people. It was insane. But the only caveat with this game is that, for me at least, was that you couldn't talk to other people while you're online. You had to use like in-game commands, which was annoying. And they could have used headphones, but they decided not to use them because they thought it would like spoil the story. Like, get out of here with that crap, man. Like, you're playing online, people are talking to each other, they're trying to communicate. So the worst thing you could do is try to take that communication away from them. You either really get good at the AI communication they had and put it in the game. It was really annoying. I got good at it, but still, a lot of people did not. So, but they had been working on Resident Evil Outbreak since probably a little bit after Resident Evil 2, and it was finally ready to go. And I loved it. I had a great time with it. Good experience playing with people online. These were like the last type of Resident Evil games that were like tank controls. It used the camera angles and it used those like that zoom in effect that Dino Crisis used, and Code Veronica used that as well. So it was definitely a step up from the old school tank control games. I'm gonna go ahead and put Resident Evil Outbreak Part 1 in the good category. It was pretty good. It was good experience. It just could have been better if they kind of like added certain features, I would say. So then the next game we got Resident Evil Outbreak 2. I thought this game improved on everything the first game had to offer. You could actually like aim your weapon and walk back and shoot this time. Like, you could move while you're shooting. That was like awesome in the Resident Evil game, to be able to move and shoot. Great. This one overall is better. Not much else to say about it besides that, but I will, since I still play Resident Evil Outbreak File 2 to this day. Fans have gotten the servers back up so you can play online with people. Usually they're on weekends. Like, you get a lot of people on weekends. On weekdays, you know, you have a couple of people, but you know, you'll always find somebody whenever you hop on, which is nice. But the weekends are where it's hot at, so you'll find the old school players playing on the weekends. I'm going to go ahead and put this one. Yeah, with the effort they put in these games, I got to put this one in the great. It's a great game, man. It's a great game. I love it. I love it. All right, so next we have the infamous Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 4, the one that everybody hates. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Resident Evil 4 blew me away. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it has so many redos, and they finally got it right. This was the first game where you're fighting against, like, not zombies. You're going against, like, other human people that are infected with a parasite. Dr. Salvador coming after you with a chainsaw. We'll never forget that. Running from the villagers in the village trying to hide. Insane stuff. You know, The only thing that puts this game back for me playing it was I hated the whole castle sequence. Like, I just don't like going to that castle. It's so boring for me. And this one, it has you, like, escorting Ashley. She could be pretty annoying. Leon, like, shut up. But, ugh. At the time, I would say this one is an essential game to play. But as of right now, over the years, I got to put this one in the great category. Yeah. Great category. I was never a big Resident Evil 4 guy. I do love it, and I know it's a lot of people's first Resident Evil game they play. Outstanding experience. And like I said, we may change these. We may change them. But right now, I got to put it in the great category. It's just like, it's hard for me to go back and play that one multiple times. I have played it like a lot. Well, you know what? I forgot all the Separate Ways chapters. Yeah. But then the quick time events, that was pretty annoying too. Krauser was cool. You know what? There's no denying Resident Evil 4, man. What am I talking about? It's got to go in the essential category. Even though my experience with it hasn't been like great going through the castle because I hate that part. Resident Evil 4 definitely was a high point in the series, and this was where the series really evolved at too, I would say. So definitely a top tier game. All right, moving right along. Here's a side game here, on Rails game. Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. What was cool about this game was that they added an extra story scenario where you get to play as Leon and Krauser before they... I think this was the one where you play as Leon and Krauser. No, that's probably the next game. I'm sorry. Well, anyways, this is a GunCon game, and you go through stories of Resident Evil with a partner, and it's kind of like just more lore, just kind of like an arcade type game, and reveals more story. They are very fun, and they're solid games. So I'm going to go ahead and put Umbrella Chronicles in the good category. It's a good game. It's a good game. Definitely something people will want to play. Now, the game that came out after this, of course, Resident Evil 5. Whew! Resident Evil 5, I think, is still the best-selling Resident Evil game as of right now. I think it's still up there. I know the top ones are 5, 6, 2 remake, and it's probably some other ones I can't think of right now. But man, Resident Evil 5 was the first Resident Evil game where you play like, well, no, I won't say co-op because Outbreak you can play co-op in those games too, but co-op like a hardcore story mode. Man, this game was on point. It kind of like used the same formula Resident Evil 4 had, and it just ramped it up. Like you got to play as 2 people, and this people don't even talk about this much. Sheva. She is a outstanding character, man. Like, she's one of the best Resident Evil characters I ever seen. And I hope she comes back in maybe future releases or something like that, because she was really a cool character, like very likable. People are questionable about her AI. I didn't have trouble with her AI helping me out. But, yeah, I think Resident Evil 5, of course, is going to be a top tier game. It's a blast. People still play this game to this day, co-op. It's just that much fun. So I got to put that up there in the essentials list, because Resident Evil 5, like, man, to this day, I mean, ooh, man, that game is just really a lot of fun. It may have lost kind of like the scare factor in a way, and you had the cheesy Albert Wesker villain stuff, but man, like, it is a great game. It is a great game. So it's got to go in the top tier. It is a must play for all you guys. And if they remake this game, guys, I would hope they would go with the storyline. Well, they would kind of like not make it co-op. They would just make it Chris, and then like Sheva would be like an NPC. Cause that was the original plan for Resident Evil 5. Like, it wasn't even going to be co-op. I think we could kind of like amp up the scare factor if they remake it where you just play as like a solo character or whatever like that. But we'll see what they'll come up with. A lot of people will probably disagree with me about that. But and then Alexia, I think that was her name. She was one of the villains, man. Man, one of the hottest villains ever in a Resident Evil game. Like, man, that lady was, whoever they modeled her after, man, she's outstanding. She's always nice to look at. All right, so next game here, Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. So I think this one was the one that introduced like Leon and Krauser story that I wanted to tell you guys about, like a prequel story. It's more GunCon fun. Not much else to say about it. It kind of shows you what happened to Ada after she after her event in Resident Evil 2. So that was kind of cool. But more lore, more GunCon, a lot of fun. So we're going to put that up here in the good tier. Right on, right on. Next game, Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. Have not played this game, and I probably never will. I was mad when they introduced this game because I was ready for the next game we're going to talk about, but we'll put this here and never played tier. And I don't even, yeah, I think I have close to like a complete Resident Evil game set, but I just can't pick this one up because I'll just never play it. Like, Mercenaries Mode is a side game for a main game. You know, I don't want it to be its own game like this. Like, that's just annoying. But next game here, Resident Evil Revelations. Yes, I had a great time playing this. I remember I had my 3DS, I had my headphones, and I was laying down playing this game. I had a blast all the way through this game. It brought a little horror elements back. It was outstanding. It was outstanding, and I was impressed that they were able to like put this game on the 3DS at the time. This is the first Resident Evil game that kind of goes through like episodes in a way, so you play as different characters throughout, which is nice. But yeah, an awesome game. I'm glad it was ported to modern consoles, but we got to put Resident Evil Revelations. I got to put it in the great tier. This one was a good one. I'm not gonna lie. Well, let me think about it again. We gotta think. Because you got some good characters in there. O'Brien was cool. I forgot the comic relief's names. Let's go ahead and put it in the good tier. Yeah, good. It's a good game. Yeah. Because I'm thinking about how many times I played through it. So, you know, the Resident Evil games I played through a lot are pretty much the top tier games. But we'll put it in the good tier for now, and we'll maybe change that later. All right, so next game to come out, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Now, I know how people felt about this game with the zombies being bullet sponges and stuff like that. This is kind of like to be a SOCOM co-op game for a Resident Evil series. I liked it a lot. The whole premise of this game was you were playing as these Umbrella Corps people and Umbrella Service. I forgot what they were called, but they were basically tasked to go to Raccoon City, collect data, and also they end up like you're supposed to kill Leon Kennedy. So you're gonna be after him in the game, and then towards the end of the game, you get a choice to choose whether to kill him or not. And that's pretty outstanding. We actually played it a couple weeks ago on Media Glitch Live. So I want to get a couple more games in on live streams because I don't know when the PSN is going to go out of service. Hope never, but you never know. I mean, if they get PS3 emulation down, you know, you'll probably see a lot of stuff drop. But Operation Raccoon City is the Resident Evil game where you can kind of see how Raccoon City looks, like explore Raccoon City. A lot of people don't realize that. But I think it's a solid game. So I had fun with this one. I'm still having fun with it. I'm going to put it in the good category. I know it's not like it has its problems, and I know people are going to go crazy I put it there, but trust me, guys, man, if you got to look past the survival horror stuff, it is a lot of fun, and it adds more lore to the story. You find out what was going on at certain events when this was happening. Like, it's great. It's great. So, I mean, it's good, not great. So we'll say that much. All right, so next game here is pretty infamous, and that is okay. We have Resident Evil 6. This game threw everything at you. The formula that started with Resident Evil 4, they put it all out in this one. You know, this one's could be compared to like something like Gears of War in a way, which is hilarious. But people were upset with this game because they wanted it to be scary and they wanted to bring the horror element back to it. But you got to realize, when you're bringing the same characters back that have been through the horror, how are you supposed to scare them? They're ready now. So this one was guns blazing, and I love it. And still play it online with friends to this day. I played it with Fat Samurai Guy about a year ago, and that was a blast. We played through the Leon scenario because that's the best one. Definitely start with the Leon scenario. The plane scene was hilarious because I thought we were going to not crash. We crashed a couple of times, which is always annoying seeing that. All right, good. That looks a lot better. Keep us alive.
Leon, pull the throttle. Pull up.
Pull up.
How many levers does it take to fly this thing?
How do I pull up? Oh, hold on. There we go. I got it.
Almost there.
Yes, come on. Oh no, please.
Oh, come on!
Fuck! I had a lot of fun with this one. Overall, it was a fun game. It sold very well. And I got to put Resident Evil 6 up there in the good category. You know what? I don't like that, man. I think it's great. I'm gonna say it's a great game. It is. It may not be what people wanted, but everything they put into that game, they wanted to put something for everybody in there, and I think that's great. But moving on to the next game, we have Resident Evil Revelations 2. I actually prefer this one over Resident Evil Revelations 1. It focuses on two main characters, I would say, Claire and Barry. I know Moira, Barry's daughter, is annoying. Yeah, the stuff she says is like, "Ugh, get out of here with that stuff." Like, very annoying character. But I was able to look past that. I like this game for the story that you're on an island in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to survive. That's scary. And the overseer's watching you, and you have these wristbands on that if you get scared enough, you start turning into a monster. So you have to not be scared. And this is the first introduction to Alex Wesker, which was only talked about in the Resident Evil those books. I forgot what they were called, but Alex Wesker is the main. Alex Wesker is the main villain. She's pretty cool until she's not cool. Let's put this game. I'm gonna put it in the good category. It's good. It's good. I like it. It's fun. It's missing a couple of features I wish that it had, like being able to play online, but I think they wanted to take the scare factor after Resident Evil. They wanted to up the scare factor after Resident Evil 6, because Resident Evil 6 wasn't scared of anybody because you have these arsenals of weapons. So having a co-op person with a weapon too to back you up, I think they thought that would be too like in the action category. So they wanted one person to shoot, the other person could assist. So I like that idea. So, but I got to put it in the good category. Okay, the next game here is another controversial game that I ended up enjoying. Resident Evil Umbrella Corps. So this was going to be like a multi-match, like a player versus player type game where there's a bunch of games like Capture the Flag, you know, like Kill Till Everybody's Dead. It's just a multiplayer game where you go against other players. The problem with this game is that no one's ever online with it. And thankfully with this game, they added a single player mode, even though it's lame. It's not what the game is about. Like, they want you to play multiplayer, but the game won't be a coffin. But this game ended up being fun because a few years ago, me and Media Glitch were able to play in multiple matches and go through the Resident Evil games, like level layout. We had a great time. Like, it was a lot of fun. But even though we had a good experience, I'm not sure everybody will. So, like I said, online is pretty much dead unless you know who's going to be online at what time. But I'm going to put this game. Well, they could have added a lot more to it. Even though I had fun with it, it's not, unfortunately, a good game on its own. So this one is in the bad tier. I want to put it in okay because I had fun with it, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of other people will have fun with it because there's not enough modes in the game that'll make it fun, you know. So sorry, Umbrella Corps, you are a bad game, but maybe we'll get a sequel with some cool ideas. And all right, so next game, finally, another game that revamped the Resident Evil formula, Resident Evil 7. Yes, Resident Evil 7 was the first game that went. Well, I can't say it's the first game that went in the first-person view mode, but it's the first game that felt like a haunted house type simulator. You could play this game in VR. It has some cool moments in it. I'm not into the love story deal with Ethan and this girl. I forgot her name, but she was annoying to me. But there's a certain part where she turns on you. That part was pretty trippy. But really, who stole the show in this game was Jack Baker. Jack Baker is stalking you, like yelling at you, like just like the stuff he was saying was hilarious. Like I was actually like, I was scared, but I was laughing at the same time. You know, like Jack Baker was something else, and that was the whole. This is the first time they used the Resident Evil engine, so they were able to have him patrol around looking for you. And then Martha Baker was good too. She actually scared the crap out of me with that jump scare when you try to open that door and she peeks around like, "Told you not to come in here." That scared the crap out of me. Resident Evil 7, definitely a solid game. I even like the boat part, even though that was a break in action when you play as Mia. Mia, that's her name. Now I remember her name. I even like that part. But I would say Resident Evil 7, it'll go, we'll put this one in the great tier. I can't say it's essential to play. I don't know. I don't know. Towards the end of that game, to me, dealing with Lucas and some other things, I just like, get out of here with this crap. But we'll put it in the great tier. So, the next game, very excited to talk about. I remember when they were showing this at the E3 show, and I already knew what it was before everybody like knew what the trailer was, because basically they showed rats in the sewer or going around, and the rats were like eating something and spreading something. And I said, I know this is Resident Evil, dude. And sure enough, like, it was Resident Evil. Everybody's excited and everything. Resident Evil 2 Remake is an outstanding game. It really is. It did a lot of things better than the original game, which remakes are supposed to do. Using the Resident Evil engine, they were able to utilize Mr. X, or Tyrant, in the proper manner to make him actually truly scary, an unstoppable force. I wish they would have had added more story between Leon and Claire, because they barely see each other throughout the game. I thought they were going to fix that in this game, and they took away the A and B scenario. They kind of tacked on a second scenario that's just lame. They could have did more work, but at the same time, I'm happy with what they put out. And Resident Evil 2 Remake is an outstanding game. It deserves to be in the top tier, and that's where it's going to go. Outstanding game, a must play. Definitely a love letter. A perfect love letter to the original game. Next game, oh my god, Resident Evil 3 Remake. They dropped the ball with this one. This one had the most potential, to me, had the most potential to be something really great and new. And they cut corners. They hired another team to work on it, and it's just like, dude, it was being worked on at the same time as Resident Evil 2, but they were going to add this game on as DLC, which would have been a bad idea. But this one took away a lot of the choices you had in the first game of Resident Evil 3. Nemesis was nerfed in this game, so they didn't even add his name into the title because they knew he wasn't going to be that great. He only shows up during timed events, so he is terrifying, especially if you play on hardcore or Inferno. He's insane, but at the same time, you know where he's going to be. But I don't know, he's okay, but they didn't utilize how he should have been used. So out of the remakes, I would give it to the Tyrant, Mr. X, to be the more scarier force, the more persistent one, the one scary you want to deal with, you know. So, but Resident Evil 3 was fun to play through it. You know, it's not a long game. I like Carlos in this version of it. I thought Carlos was pretty cool. I didn't like the beginning scenario, how you meet Nemesis, like to the original game. I thought that was kind of lame. Whew, what else? There's a lot of stuff I could say about this game. I don't want to go into it too much. I try not to, but I'm thinking about more of my experience playing through it the first time. I had a good time. It was fun going through it, you know. But playing it again, repeat plays, it's just like, damn, why am I playing this game? I should be playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which I usually ends up happening. So I'm gonna put this one in the good tier. It was good. It could have been great, but they cut corners, and that's unfortunate. The game that tacked on with it, Resident Evil Resistance, the co-op game where you're going against like umbrella operators trying to kill you in these weird experiments. It was fun at first, but there's too many cheaters in this game, so it's hard to really enjoy it. You know, it was enjoyable at first, but when I played it again, like when I played it, I think it was a year ago I played it. It was just like too many cheaters, and it's just like, man, it was a slog fest. Like, why am I playing this game? I could be playing something fun. And really, what they could have did was this game was Outbreak, like we've been asking for. They keep cutting corners with a new Outbreak game. Lazy. You got to make an Outbreak game if you want to make a co-op Resident Evil game. Just give us Outbreak like we've been asking, or remake the other ones for us. We'll be happy with that too. So we're gonna put Resistance in the bad tier. It's just not fun, not a good game. Could have been, but I feel like they kind of abandoned it. This is too all over the place. All right, so next game here we have Resident Evil 8 Village. A lot of people felt that this Resident Evil like added like elements from all good Resident Evil games and put it into one. I think that's some bullshit. The whole thing with this game is that, you know, it plays like Resident Evil 7. It plays Ethan again, but it's just, I don't know, man. Like certain stuff, I feel like this game didn't get good to me until you got to the factory, Heisenberg's factory. That's where it felt like Resident Evil. Everything else was okay, like just okay. Like Castle Dimitrescu or whatever it's called. Dealing with Lady Dimitrescu is okay, but this is a certain path that you take, and it's just boring, you know. So I didn't really care for it too much. The haunted house part was actually pretty cool when you go to that house. That was okay. A little side stuff going on, but I don't know. This game just didn't really pull me in. Now the DLC was actually pretty good. That whole thing with the marionettes was great. And the small, like, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. That was cool. So with the DLC added in, I could put Resident Evil Village in the good category. It's good. It's not great. It's not great. Sorry, it's not great. And this game wasn't, I feel like it's not even a true Resident Evil game because it was, well, not yet true in the main series. Well, I shouldn't say main series because Revelations is part of the main series, but I felt this was actually Resident Evil Revelations 3 at first before they changed it up. They needed more time to make a new Resident Evil game, so they said, yep, let's just cancel Revelations 3 and make it this game. What ended up happening. But yeah, good tier for that one. Next game, Resident Evil Verse. Resident Evil Verse to me sucks. Another multiplayer game. You play as a character, you take too much damage, you mutate, and then you go after the players that killed. It's just like, dude, this is all over the place. So this one is bad. Resident Evil 4 Remake. This remake is better than the original, in my opinion. Especially when you add the separate ways chapters. Now, I prefer the Ada from the original. You know, the dress and high heels was great. But you can actually use her high heel costume in this one, too. I don't think she's just not wearing a dress. Well, yes, she is. Wearing a skirt. Okay. Trying to remember everything. It's hard, like, everything's all jumbled up. But Resident Evil 4 Remake was outstanding. They actually fixed a lot of stuff. I love how they fixed Jack Krauser's character. Made him a solid character in this game. His storyline was pretty badass. Where in the original game, he was more of a grunt, but he was tough. But he was kind of just a grunt character in the storyline. Like, I forgot exactly everything, but the boss fight with him is pretty cool in the first game, where he has the drones. They took away the drones in the second game, in the remake, and it's an all-out crazy war fight with him, and it's really kind of emotional towards the end, I would say. But this game has a lot going for it. They fixed a lot of the joking between Leon and the bosses, like in the original game, like they're talking to each other, like Leon saying weird jokes. So I was like, man, you gotta get out of here with this crap. But I gotta put Resident Evil Remake 4 Remake in the top tier list. Yes, it goes over the original game. Well, they're in the same list, but still, it's a top tier game. They did a good job. They didn't even need to remake this game, so yeah, it's definitely got to be on that list. Now, here's some other games here. Resident Evil 1.5, the Resident Evil 2 that we never got. Originally, it was 80% done before it was scrapped. There's two builds for it, an 80% and a 40% build from what I'm told. 80% build has never been leaked or released. Somebody might have it and not know it, but that version has like voice acting and all this other stuff on there. Some of the stuff you've seen in the E3 videos from years ago. The 40% build got leaked, and modders kind of like have worked on it to fix it to make it like the 80% build with the information they have. So they created rooms, you know, put stuff together. It's actually really cool. It's nice to see the original story for Resident Evil 2, because Resident Evil 2, the original story was going to end the series. It's nice seeing characters play different roles, where Ada is like a lab assistant this time, or maybe she's still a spy. Marvin doesn't die in this version. Neither does Kendo. You have a new character, Elsa. Is it Elsa or Eliza? I can't remember. But she was the original Claire before she was replaced with Claire. But playing the build, it is fun, but it still needs some work. So I'm going to put it in the OK tier. Resident Evil 1.5. It's definitely worth going through it. The new build of it that they made, not the original 40% build, like the one they built over that and over time. It's fun to play. Don't try to play the 40% build. You'll be pissed off. Like, it's nice to see it like as an art piece, but playing it is a nightmare. And the next game here, last game here, Resident Evil for the Game Boy Color. This was actually somewhat finished, but it got scrapped. This is a good vision of Resident Evil for the Game Boy. I think they did a good job like putting this on the system. It's unfortunate it didn't get released. It reminds me of Alone in the Dark for the Game Boy. You can beat the game and everything like that too. It has these numbers that are on the screen, which are kind of annoying because it wasn't ever finished. It's decent. It's decent. So I'm going to put it in the OK bracket here. So, wow, guys, that's my Resident Evil tier list. I'm looking at this right now. I'm still feeling pretty good. I don't think I need to change anything around. I think everything is perfect and where it should be. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this list. And what would you change in it, or do you like it like how it is? But anyways, guys, I might do more videos like this in the future. We'll see how it goes. But that's all I got for you in this one, the radical one, and I will see you all later.